Our story begins in a classroom at Jiangsheng High School. Their teacher, Chen Fan, then announces that the students need to get ready for the liberal arts exam. He also warns them that the military exam is dangerous, and he doesn't recommend it for anyone with low-level abilities. That's when we meet our protagonist, Xu Jingming, who reveals that he's actually a time traveler. This new world is called Blue Star, and its level of technology is pretty similar to Earth's. But the main difference is that this place is infested with terrifying, bloodthirsty beasts. To fight back against these creatures, some humans manage to awaken special abilities. Everyone can awaken their superpowers at 16, and they come in all sorts of types. So these abilities are divided into 9 levels, but most people only awaken between F and D rank. Our boy's ability is a weak E-level electricity, about as powerful as a taser. Suddenly, a classmate asks him if he still plans on taking the martial arts exam. The bully calls him a loser and says he should just stick to liberal arts so he doesn't embarrass the school. However, a girl stands up for him and tells the bully to mind his own business. The irritated boy snaps back, saying he'll show her who's best during the unified exam. And before storming off, he adds that Xu will just end up getting himself killed in the test. The classmate tells him not to worry about the bully, since everyone has their own worth. In the Great Xia Nation, education is split into 2 paths. Those with weak powers can live as ordinary people, but those who choose the military path have to enter a zone and desperately fight against beasts. Only after passing these exams can students get into a university for the superpowered. Our protagonist thinks to himself that even if he skips the exam, he can't run from the beasts, which could invade at any moment. Then he remembers that his parents in this world were victims of a monster horde in the past. Because of that, Xu doesn't want to be powerless and unable to react to these situations ever again. Filled with determination, he reaffirms his decision and chooses to take the dangerous military exam. A little while later, classes were finally over. Back at home, our boy was hard at work training. In his training, he's combining his electricity with his weapon. He executes several moves with his spear, trying to perfect his combat technique. After so much effort, the young man pauses for a moment, completely exhausted. With his body at its limit, he finally collapses onto the floor, saying he can't practice anymore. He's been training for 2.5 years, but his proficiency is still at a beginner's level. However, the skill he had bought makes him stronger than a typical awakened user. He knows that the death rate in the military exam for students below D level only gets higher every year. Even so, to get into the university for superpowers, he's willing to fight to the death. Then, as he gets up from the floor, the boy is faced with a strange panel that starts to glow. And finally, our beloved system makes its appearance. Xu is completely shocked, with no idea what's happening at that moment. The system announces that the activation was a success and asks if he wants the starter pack. With a smile on his face, he wonders curiously what could be inside this gift. The screen reveals that the package includes an S-level superpower and 200 power points. Powers like that are so rare that it takes an entire country 3 to 4 years for just one person to awaken one. Even though he's just E-rank trash, he realizes he now has a chance to change his destiny. Without hesitating for a second, the young man reaches out his hand and accepts the reward. Right after, he gets a confirmation and the S-rank superpower Purple Thunder begins to be released. A powerful energy envelops his heart as the new ability finally manifests. The hero screams in pain as intense purple electricity courses through his entire body. Then, an explosion of power takes over the room as the release process continues. The blast of power shatters the windows of the protagonist's house, leaving everything in pieces. Outside, some people get spooked by the strange smoke coming from the boy's house. A worried neighbor calls the fire department, thinking something went wrong at the Su family's place. Meanwhile, the hero continues to feel immense pain as the transformation process rapidly advances. The sky suddenly turns dark, and people on the street wonder what caused the change in the weather. High above, an immense dragon made of electricity emerges from the clouds, terrifying everyone. A high-ranking official feels the pressure and thinks that a powerful thunder beast is about to invade. Because of this, he orders the Jiangsheng Third Army to go on maximum alert. The electric creature hovers over the city with a threatening, power-filled gaze. Finally, the process reaches 100%, and the superpower transformation is complete. The energy around him dissipates, and we see that the training room has been completely destroyed. Our protagonist clenches his fist, feeling the overwhelming strength. This is the Divine Thunder, a power so strong it can destroy someone with a single blow. He looks at the mess and thinks that the noise was way too loud, but luckily he managed to get it under control. Then he remembers he got 200 ability points and wonders what they're for. The system explains that the points can upgrade levels and skills, and he can earn more by killing beasts. Xu laughs and says he likes this hack, then tells it to open the panel. The screen shows his status as an unranked awakened with his new S-level ability. Since the exam is tomorrow, he decides to use his 200 points to improve as much as possible. He decides to strengthen his physique and spirit first, since superpowers stem from those attributes. Then, the numbers start to climb rapidly as he distributes his power points. A dark purple aura envelops him as the young man feels the energy flowing through his body. He wonders if this is what it feels like to have your energy and blood circulation enhanced. After that, he clenches his fist and prepares to test his new ability. Our boy slams his lightning-wreathed fist into the ground, demonstrating his overwhelming power. The young man smiles, satisfied, and says that with his basic attributes improved, everything feels much stronger. His two main attributes increased by 20 points, and now he has more vitality and spirit. With his current power, he's sure he'll get into the university and wonders what his ranking will be. Then the protagonist kicks his spear into the air, and as he catches it, he decides to head to a martial arts gym to test his specific power levels. Suddenly, the door to his house is busted open. To the young man's surprise, a few firefighters burst in, leaving him completely confused. The team leader explains that they received an emergency call about a fire there. The hero apologizes and explains that the mess was caused by his superpowers fluctuating. The firefighter understands the situation and radios and that the emergency is over and they can leave. As they're leaving, the man is impressed that a student caused so much commotion just by training. Outside, the fire truck drives away while curious neighbors watch. A neighbor congratulates him on his dedication, and the young man says he's going to practice a bit more. For the awakened, training was essential, which is why martial arts halls were created. Our boy arrives at one of the most famous halls in the nation, the Thunder Hall. The Ferocious Bear Hall is expensive and for rich students, but the Thunder Hall is free for high schoolers. Inside, he sees a group of students and seems to recognize a girl among them. This girl is Tang-Chi, our protagonist's cousin, who appears to be quite popular. She has a confident air about her and is chatting excitedly with some other students. The young man approaches and greets her, surprised to find her at the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. His cousin replies that she's just with some friends, while another girl looks on with interest. He then says his goodbyes, telling them he's heading to the training room and to have fun. His cousin thinks he seems different, and her friend asks who that handsome guy was. She reveals that the young man is her cousin, and that he's also taking the military exam tomorrow. Her friend, all excited, says he'd be a great boyfriend to show off. But her cousin throws a bucket of cold water on the idea, revealing that he only has an E-class superpower. One of the guys says he's brave, but the cousin thinks the risks are too high. To change the subject, the girl calls her friends over to finally explore the hall. Her friend comments that he's been training at the Ferocious Bear Hall for 3 years and has never been here before. Meanwhile, our hero is already in a training room, preparing to test his strength. He holds the spear and notices it feels lighter, but realizes it's just because his physique has gotten stronger. With the exam coming up, he knows there's no time to find a more suitable weapon. So he decides to test his maximum strength first, without the help of his superpower. With a focused expression, the young man prepares for the first test strike. He grips the weapon firmly and uses all his strength to deliver a powerful attack. The young man lands a powerful and precise blow on the training target. The spear's impact is so strong that it cracks the entire surface of the target. At this, the meter shows a reading of 321 calories, and the target regenerates. His physical strength has nearly doubled, while a typical awakened only has about 100 calories. Next, he decides to test his new superpower, the Divine Thunder. The hero concentrates, and purple energy begins to crackle around his body. Then he unleashes a lightning attack on the target with the power of thunder. With that, the meter shoots up to an incredible 3,021 calories. As expected of an S-class superpower, he's impressed with the result. But our boy knows this still isn't his power limit. His trump card is combining his physical strength, superpower, and combat skills all at once. So, he combines everything and unleashes an attack even more devastating than the last one. The electrified spear hits the target with overwhelming thunderous force. At the point of impact, a sphere of purple energy forms, ready to explode. With a war cry, he releases all the accumulated power in the final blow. The energy explodes in a vortex of power, completely destroying the training target. In the main hall, everyone feels a strong tremor and wonders if it's an earthquake. On the same floor, the hero's cousin and her friends nearly lose their balance from the shaking. One of the guys is shocked and says the energy fluctuation is from a superpower user. His friend wonders who it could be since the strong users train elsewhere, not here. With that, the protagonist's cousin becomes determined and decides to go check out what happened. The group follows the source of the energy, and they see Shu walking away from the area. She then asks if he's heading home, and our boy confirms, saying he needs to prepare some more. So his cousin wishes him good luck on the exam, and meanwhile, the others head toward the room. They reach the door of the training room, and one of them confirms that the tremor came from in there. When they open it, they see the target completely destroyed and are shocked by the scene. The friend is impressed by the destruction and wonders if there's really a student that's strong in the city. The guy doubts it was a student, thinking it must have been a stronger user who went to the wrong floor. Another classmate agrees, saying that not even the geniuses from the capital cities can reach this level of power. But his friend remembers that Shu was just here and suggests he might be a secret genius. One of the classmates laughs at the idea and says she's been reading too many stories online. The other guy supposes the powerful user must have left through another hallway, which is why they didn't see him. The young woman approaches the destroyed target, and while analyzing the damage, she replies with a maybe. As she touches one of the holes, she notices that the marks look like they were left by a spear. The girl remembers her cousin leaving with his spear, and wonders if she had been underestimating him this whole time. Finally, the day of the military exam arrives, and we see several students gathered in a ruined area. The students get off the buses, already armed and ready for the test to begin. Our protagonist also steps off the bus, carrying his spear with a confident look in his eyes. Some students look at the test site and get scared when they see a one-horned rhinoceros. Then a young man with a giant sword complains, saying they're all trash if they can't handle this. Our hero's best friend, Lu Ji, asks who that guy with the big mouth is. The arrogant young man is Zhou Mingyang, who has a B-level ability and is already a top-tier user. The protagonist stares at the genius, who's favored to be the best this year, and wonders who's actually stronger. Suddenly, a loud voice shouts out, grabbing the attention of all the candidates. Commander Wang Haiyang introduces himself and says he'll explain the rules before the exam. The commander announces that the exam lasts for 12 hours and the location is the ruined city behind him. The area is divided into 4 zones, and stronger beasts grant candidates more points. He warns that the central area is for the very best and tells them not to risk their lives for points. The protagonist thinks that now he can attack the inner zone or even the central area. Then the exam materials are distributed and Shu goes to get his from his teacher. He receives a small bag with 3 essential items for the survival test. The kit includes a smartwatch, a tactical backpack with supplies, and a safety beacon. The teacher advises him to use the safety beacon if he needs to, because his life is more important. Suddenly, the classmate who defended him from the bully calls his name and runs over to him. She invites him to join her team and promises to protect him during the exam. But one of the team members complains that they can't bring someone weak along with them. Another classmate agrees and says they've changed their minds about what they agreed on earlier. They don't want to carry a burden and refuse to let the boy join their team. His friend gets furious with their attitude, and a big argument breaks out. The protagonist just smiles and says he was planning on going in alone anyway, and that they can form their own team. His friend asks if he's serious, and the worried girl tells him to be careful. The other guys mock the situation and call the girl over to go find Wang Tian. Our protagonist gives them a confident smile, and thinks to himself that he'll get a high score even without them. Suddenly, drones fly over the area, and the Jiangcheng Military University exam finally begins. Just like that, all the candidates rush into the ruined city, each with their own ambitions. The hero's cousin and her friends also charge full speed into the test zone. Our protagonist runs headfirst into the exam, thinking that his time has finally come. He then activates his smartwatch to start logging his points for the test. The device confirms his identity as candidate Xu Jingming from Jiangcheng's second high school. Next, the screen shows the rankings, with Zhou Mingyang in first place with 7 points. Seeing how fast the students from the first high school are, he decides it's time to get moving. He figures he's still far from the central area and decides to head straight for the middle of the danger zone. While running through the streets, our protagonist is surprised by something. He stops in shock when he finds a candidate lying lifeless on the ground, their safety beacon still intact. He's shocked to see that the student didn't get to use the safety beacon in time. The protagonist thinks that if he hadn't awakened his S-class power, he would have met the same fate. He then uses his watch to call for logistics and reflects on the risks and opportunities of life. Suddenly, a sound alerts him to imminent danger, and he quickly spins around. A paw with sharp claws appears, and a new enemy emerges. A shadow wolf lunges forward, and the young man realizes it was left here for an ambush. The hero gets ready for combat and shouts that this is a well-laid trap. The beast rushes toward him, snarling and ready to attack, its eyes glowing. The wolf leaps on top of the protagonist, but he dodges with a quick movement and swiftly turns back towards the shadow wolf. He notes that the wolf is agile, has sharp claws and a strong bite, a true killer of newbies. The creature turns to him with a fierce roar, ready to attack again at any moment. Shu knows that beasts have an aura that intimidates their prey, leaving awakened users defenseless. That's why rich families hire bodyguards to get their kids used to these beasts. Our boy thinks that he doesn't have that luxury and that this is his first time fighting a beast. With a roar, the creature lunges at the young warrior with its sharp claws. But he isn't intimidated, and with a confident smile, he channels the thunder's energy into his weapon. Then the hero pierces the beast's head with his electrified spear, ending the fight quickly. He's surprised to realize that the monster's terrifying aura has no effect on him at all. A notification tells him he killed a shadow cat and earned 3 ability points. He thinks that killing beasts gives points, but weaker ones barely give any, which is a problem. Since the monster's auras don't affect him, he decides to head straight for the dangerous central area. Along the way, the protagonist defeats several shadow cats and iron-furred pigs, gaining more points. He continues his hunt and eliminates dozens of beasts, racking up a lot of points. The young man thinks that while he has points, he lacks experience because his power kills the creatures too easily. He notes that his power uses a lot of energy, and if he used it at full strength, he wouldn't last an hour. With the exam lasting 12 hours, the young man decides not to waste his abilities too early. He then decides to use only his spear, but suddenly, a huge creature appears in his path. The large rhinoceros beast charges forward, sending a car flying into the air with impressive force. The monster was heading right for the protagonist, and without fear, our boy prepares for the imminent battle. With an agile leap, he dodges the creature's attack and repositions himself in the air to strike. Then he twists his body and prepares a powerful blow to hit the monster from above. Sue strikes the beast's head with a precise attack, full of brute force. The creature topples to the ground, defeated, and the hero stops beside it, observing the result. He's surprised by his own speed and wonders if his spear technique has evolved. Upon opening the panel, he confirms that his spear technique has leveled up to the intermediate stage. Our boy thinks that if the intermediate technique is already this strong, he can only imagine a more advanced one. Suddenly, several images of advanced spear techniques flood his mind, and he's shocked by the amount of new information he just received all at once. With a smile on his face, he can't wait to test his new power on a strong beast. Meanwhile, the protagonist's friend and her group are walking through the city, and she spots someone in the distance. The girl gets lost in thought and says to herself that she thinks she saw Sue pass by. A classmate tells her she must be seeing things, since it would be suicide for him to come to this area. But the girl is doubtful. The silhouette was identical, and she wonders how he's doing now. Suddenly, a classmate finds the fallen rhinoceros and calls the group over to see the dead creature. The young woman analyzes the beast and notes that the blood is still fresh and the wound was made by a spear. She's shocked and wonders if the person she saw earlier really was Shu. Her friend doubts it, since only a sea-level user could kill the beast alone, and Shu doesn't have that kind of strength. Another classmate suggests that to find out the truth, they just need to check his score on the ranking. The protagonist's friend then checks her watch and is shocked to see his name in the 46th position. Everyone is in disbelief and refuses to accept that an E-level awakened is in the top 50. Meanwhile, in an observation room, the audience comments that the first high school is dominating the top 10. The director of education, Zhang Wenshan, praises Zhou Mingyang and hopes he'll make it into the province's top 100. He congratulates the principals of the first and third high schools, who thank him with smiles on their faces, but the director criticizes the second high school because their best student is only in 18th place. Principal Zhao Yao sees that only 8 of his students are in the top 50 and lists their names. Then he pauses and wonders who this Xu Jingming is, as he's never heard of him before. The other teacher is shocked to hear the name and shouts that it can't be him in the top 50. He wonders if the boy hid his strength, but it's impossible for an E-rank power to suddenly become an S-rank. The teacher laments that only the top 10 have camera coverage, so he can't see how the boy managed to get so many points. Meanwhile, our boy finally reaches the dreaded central area, a high-danger zone. While eating a cracker, he notices there are fewer beasts and figures the stronger ones are intelligent and territorial. Suddenly, Shu senses a presence, and his expression turns serious as a new enemy approaches. With that, a massive tiger appears, destroying cars and advancing with incredible speed. That creature is a blade tiger, a first-class monster with sharp claws and fangs. But our boy thinks he's lucky to have found a strong beast right after entering the central zone. With a smile, he says the monster is perfect for testing his new spear technique.